Coffee is life. Coffee is life. You are my life, my love, my everything. Just don't tell my wife. Hello and welcome back to the channel, folks. As always, I am your host, Vortex from MobileMusicPro.com, your home for mobile music production. And if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we try to help and create more mobile music producers. And we're currently training over 1,000 producers all over the world. And we're just getting started. So make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video to help us keep growing. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to add some extra texture to your tracks. Now, what we mean by this is either adding some extra sounds to your track to fill out some empty space, set a specific vibe or mood, or add some extra customization to make your track stand out to be more memorable. Now, there are several ways to do this, but we're going to go over just a few techniques in this video, such as using real-world sounds, white noise, vocal chops, and more. But as with anything to do with sound, there really is about an infinite amount of ways to achieve great sonic results. So please make sure to comment below on some of the ways that you guys are adding texture to your tracks so that we can all learn together. And on a quick side note, we're actually going to be trying out a new schedule for videos on this channel, where we're going to be premiering our videos every Wednesday and Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So definitely please make sure to let us know what you think of these new schedule changes in the comments below. Alright, now with that intro aside, let's get right into showing you how to add more texture to your tracks in Cubasis 3. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Before we get started with this video today, I did want to remind you that, again, in this video, we're not trying to alter our sounds too drastically here. We're simply trying to add some extra vibe and atmosphere to our tracks. So let's get started with our first technique, which is to use real-world sounds. Today we'll be using a bunch of samples from Cymatics, and you can find all their samples at cymatics.fm. In this project that we have pulled up here, we are using sounds from the Cymatics EDM Starter Pack. So oftentimes adding real-world sounds is a great way to add additional atmosphere and create a very unique vibe for the listener. I'm sure you've heard in many tracks throughout the years of listening to music that people have used this technique a lot. And in fact, we use it all the time here as well. So first, what we're going to do is play this project for you as it is right now without any additional textures or atmospheric sounds. So let's play this now. Now that we've played that, let's just quickly go through the tracks that we have here. The first track is our drum track. The second is a melody track. The third track is a modification of that melody that we'll be going through shortly. And below that we have our walking track, rain track, traffic track, and finally a riser track using white noise. Now, whether you add one of these things or all of these things, it's not right or wrong. It's just up to what the song demands and what you want your listener to feel like. So because our melody is in C minor, we did want this to be a bit more of a moody vibe. Now these additional real-world sounds of walking, rain, and traffic are going to be coming from Cymatics Life Ambient Recordings Sample Pack, which again you can always find at cymatics.fm. So the first thing we're going to add is the sound of rain. This will hopefully help set the tone for the track. So let's hear what this sounds like now with the rain added in. So you can hear that we're already starting to create a vibe with this track. Now, the second thing I want to add in here is the sound of walking. I want the listener to project themselves into the song as this person walking, creating a more personal experience. So let's hear what that sounds like with the walking sounds added in. You can see that adding that and the rest of these atmospheric type tracks at the beginning of the song will set the mood and the vibe right away. The final piece of atmosphere that I wanted to add into this track is the sound of city traffic. Because you could be walking in the rain anywhere, right? You could be walking in the rain in the field, or you could be walking in the rain in the country, but we want the listener to feel like they're walking in the rain in the city. And if we're being subjective and specific, perhaps walking in the city at night. But that would likely require some lyrics to really sell that concept and drive that home. So let's hear what this sounds like now with the traffic sound. So as you can see here, there is a pretty drastic difference between the original track and adding these additional sounds to create more texture. Let's quickly play a 4-bar loop of them both back to back. So a pretty big difference there. Alright, and the second technique that we'll be talking about today to add additional texture to your tracks is to layer duplicate sounds, where the second version of that sound is modified from its original. Now you can modify that second track, or third track, or fourth track, depending on how many times you want to duplicate that sound, to be as the same or different from the first track as you want. Now, of course, we do want to distinguish it from the first track so that it can help fill out the spectrum and create a wider and bigger sound. So as a demonstration of that technique, we're going to use that same melody that we used here in the first part of the video. So let's first solo that melody. So a pretty nice standard melody here. So the first thing we're going to do is duplicate our track, as we've done here, and we're going to add some effects onto the second track. So let's see what we've done before we hear it. So under our effects, you can see that we have a channel strip, studio EQ, Cosmonaut, and a wider plugin. So for the channel strip, all we did was add some additional compression and saturation. For the studio EQ, we removed all of the lows and some of the mids and boosted some of the highs. And then for our Cosmonaut plugin, we are using the Clean Echo preset to add a bit of delay to the sound to fill out the sound a bit more. And finally, we added a stereo widening plugin called Wider from Infected Mushroom. And you can see that we have that all the way stretched out at 200%. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this by itself, and then we're going to play it together with the first melody, and then we'll hear them in the context of the entire song. So let's listen to what the second version of this melody sounds like. And let's hear the first version. Alright, now let's hear these two together. So you can hear there is a much more fuller sound there as we are taking up more of the spectrum. And now let's hear what this sounds like with all of our additional textures and this second melody. So you can see we took something pretty generic or pretty standard sounding and added an entirely new vibe on top of it to really set the mood for the listener and hopefully make the track much more memorable. And the third technique that we'll be talking about today to add more texture to your tracks is by using white noise. Now you can use white noise in a bunch of different ways. For example, you can add noise to your synthesizer, as most synthesizers do have a white noise module that you can adjust. Another way is, of course, adding a pre-made sample, and we'll be doing both of these today. So first, let's hear what this EDM track sounds like without that white noise. Okay, now that sounds pretty decent, but again, we do want to add a little bit more. And again, we're not trying to drastically change our track. We're just trying to add a bit more customization, a bit more of a vibe, perhaps a bit more energy. Now, speaking of energy, that's exactly what white noise is usually designed to create. Slowly or suddenly adding more white noise is usually done to add more energy to a track. Now, we have a white noise track here all the way at the bottom, track number 12, where we have a side-chained white noise track. And that's where we have pure white noise side-chained to our kick. So let's go ahead and solo this and hear what this sounds like. So pretty standard white noise, side-chained to a 4 on the floor kick. Now let's hear what this sounds like in the context of the whole mix. So you can really hear it there at the end, at that break. So what I want to do now is just quickly mute and unmute that noise track, just so you can, again, get a feeling of what this adds to the mix. So it is very subtle, but again, can be very, very important. Now, before we show you where we added more white noise in an additional project, we just quickly wanted to highlight that point we said earlier about a synthesizer having a white noise module on board. So if we take a look at the built-in synthesizer that comes with Cubasis 3 called the Microloog, we notice that there is a white noise knob on the far right-hand corner. In addition to this, it does have an on and off switch as well. Now what we've created here is just a quick simple melody that we wanted to show you what it sounds like with and without that noise. So let's solo this now. Bring up the synthesizer and make sure that the noise is turned off. And let's hear what that sounds like. Now what I want to do is I want to slowly bring in the white noise and then turn it on and off again a couple times so you can really hear the difference. So let's quickly do that now. So as you can hear, they're a pretty drastic difference, and again, usually this is used to build energy. So as the track progresses, you can build up the noise throughout the verse and perhaps into the break, and then really let it loose for the chorus. We just wanted to quickly mention that the video quality for recording our iPad videos for some reason was set to low for the first part of this video. So again, we apologize about that. The rest of this video should be recorded in high quality format on our iPad. This is definitely the first time this has happened, so we didn't quite notice it right away. We just thought that for some reason the video was a little fuzzy, and that was strange. But now when we double checked it, turned on and off our iPad, yes, in fact, it was a lower quality. So again, apologies about that, but you should still be able to see everything pretty decently. Okay, so now let's move on. Now the fourth way that we're going to be discussing to add additional texture and atmosphere to your tracks is going to be using vocal chops or some type of Vox-like sample. Now, of course, most mainstream tracks do have vocals. So when we say adding vocals to your track, we don't mean, of course, just go and hiring an artist or working with an artist to add that on top of your track. What we specifically mean is just adding small little vocal slices or vocal chops or even some Vox samples sprinkled throughout your track to give it a bit more personality or character. So we're going to show you a couple of projects where we did just that. So first, let's play this one, and we're going to hear that vocal chop right away in the beginning before we break. So as you can see, adding that vocal chop right there really bumps up the energy and gets the audience ready and prepared for something to happen next. Okay, here we have another trap project pulled up where we can have some examples of some Vox or some vocal chops. And again, we put them right away in the beginning to build some energy. So let's hear what that sounds like. So what we did is we took a pre-made Vox sample and chopped that up and put that in specific parts of the beginning of the song to help create that build-up. We do have several other instruments building up energy, but there's nothing that quite gets the crowd hyped up as much as some of these vocal chops. The fifth tip that we have for you today for adding additional atmosphere or additional texture or additional vibe to your track is going to be with automation. Now, using automation in your plugins is a great way to bring your track to life. This is really what sets apart the amateurs from the pros when you're talking about sound design and production. Now, we're not going to be doing too much automation demonstration today, but we are going to use a built-in plugin that comes with Cubasis 3 called Spin FX, where we're going to be applying some of our automation today. We're using this plugin because this really helps demonstrate what you can do with automation. So in order to enable your automation, you have to make sure that both your read and write is selected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play with this plugin, add a couple of different changes, and then play it back. So we're going to be doing some filtering, some tape stop, and some repeating. So let's hear what this sounds like. Now, as you can hear, we did apply several different effects there, and they will get played back automatically. If you'll notice to the left under the automation tab, you'll see this is where all of your automation events get stored. You can disable these at any time by tapping the Enable Disable button, and you can dig in to edit or change the automation by tapping on the E. You'll notice that Cubasis recorded several of our different changes. Now all we did is apply automation for this one singular plugin, but you can apply all of this automation to any plugin within Cubasis 3. So some automation examples that are typically used in music production are some of what you already heard, which was adding a filter and applying tape stop effects. But in addition to that, you can do different EQ settings to, for example, slowly start increasing the highs of a main melody to give it more energy before you go into a chorus. The possibilities really are endless. Alright, hello and welcome back everybody. We really hope you enjoyed those tips and techniques for adding some extra texture to your tracks. We use these all the times to fill out that spectrum, add some more excitement, or just set the listener in a very specific mood. And again, these were just some of our tips and tricks. This isn't the be-all, end-all of showing you how to add extra texture to your tracks. So please make sure to comment below on some of the tips and tricks that you guys use to add texture to your tracks. It really does help out the whole community and allow it to move forward when more and more people share what they've learned. And remember, if you are curious about any of the apps that we do use in these videos, we do try to list them all in the description below. But sometimes we do miss a couple here and there. So if you ever have any questions, please make sure to hit us up on our socials or leave a comment below. We do try to get to all of them as fast as we can. And of course, make sure to smash the likes on this video. It really does help it get found by more and more producers. And if you'd like to further support our efforts of helping to create more mobile music producers and go that extra mile to help us build out a foundation of support, then make sure to officially join our mobile music army by checking out our Patreon page at patreon.com/mobilemusicpro, where you can subscribe for as little as $1 a month. And a quick side note, actually, we're currently working on the logo for our mobile music army right now. So make sure to stay tuned to our Instagram and Twitter to see what that looks like. So until next time, everybody, keep talking music, and we'll see you later.